Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to our GYST Podcast, where we help you get your together.
Can you scoot forward? Can you scoot forward?
Not now.
Just move the camera.
I actually did.
I'm just kidding. Hey, can you guys scoot the table over about 7 inches to the left?
Ready?
Do.
Okay. Everyone good? Okay, moment of silence. In 3, 2, 1. Hello, everyone, and welcome again to another edition of your favorite podcast, the GYST Podcast, also known as Get Your Shit Together. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be an episode that you will want to pay attention to, and we strongly, I don't want to be sued, but do not do these exercises while you're operating heavy machinery.
Oh, gosh. The best time to do it is when you're stuck in traffic driving home.
Once you can do it, yeah. And once you get accustomed to it, yeah. So today's episode is how to meditate. This is such a crucial exercise and podcast episode that we're going to do. In fact, we're going to be doing a series of different how-to podcasts that just kind of talk about, how to GYST. And so the first one that we really wanted to do is all about meditation. So I've been meditating my entire life, and I get asked quite a few times, how do you meditate? I've even presented a couple classes at Western when I was there. And so what we're going to do, this is, when we first started breaking up this episode, I created different exercises for each of the guys here. And so, I guess before Sam gets mad at me, this is Rahila.
I'm at Barlodge on the mic.
Kyle. Sam's not even listening.
Come on.
I better get a text message if you're listening, Sam.
Oh, man. So I created a different exercise for Amit, Kyle, and Kamal that they're going to kind of go into. But the basic of each of those was how to actually meditate. And there's different, so what I'm going to talk about right now is just different breathing styles and why you want to breathe. And how, right now, 9 out of 10 of you are doing it wrong, right? It seems like easy, you just breathe. No, we're doing it wrong. So, on average, in a
Seems easy, right? You just breathe. No. You're doing it wrong.
You're doing it wrong for your whole life.
You might as well be dead.
Oh, man. So on average, every day, you take 20,000 to 26,000 breaths every single day. So that equals about 15 to 18 inhales per minute, which is wrong. We're breathing too often. Our breaths are not as deep as they should be. That number, the 15 to 18, should really be about 7 to 9 breaths. The other thing is we're taught when you take a deep breath, right? Fill up your lungs. Well, that's wrong too. So if you look at a baby, when a baby's laying in bed and it's breathing, its chest isn't going up and down. Its stomach is. It's breathing from the diaphragm. And that's really what we need to do in order to really, exhaling gets rid of about 70% of the toxins in your body if done properly. And so when you breathe in through the nose, and then you actually expel your stomach out to make room for all that air. And then when you exhale through the mouth, what it's doing is it's releasing toxins. But just more than that, it's increasing the amount of oxygen in your body. It's slowing your respiratory rate. It's increasing blood flow through your body into your heart. It's lowering your blood pressure. It's decreasing your stress. So a lot of times people think that they need to have 10, 15 minutes of just dedicated meditation time, or I need to do this before I go to sleep. And that's fine. It will help you relax, but at the same time, if you do it before you're about to go to sleep, it's going to put you to sleep. especially if you don't really know what you're doing at the beginning. So that's why so many people meditate in the morning, to really just kind of get the day started on the right path. And if you breathe in deeply through your stomach, through your diaphragm, you're going to feel your stomach muscles become sore because you're just not used to using them in that way. One of the things that I like to do is imagine a pure white silk handkerchief. When you're breathing in through your nose, imagine you're taking that handkerchief in through your nose, down your esophagus, all the way down to the pit of your stomach and your diaphragm.
I'm literally doing it right now.
Right?
And then you like paint the picture for me. Sorry, go ahead.
And then when you exhale, imagine that handkerchief coming back up through your mouth, but it's all black. And what that does is that helps you kind of not only release some of the toxins, but really you start associating with it subconsciously with the energy in your body. In through the nose, white handkerchief, you're inhaling good energy. Exhaling through the mouth, the bad energy. And so that exercise, you want to do it for about 5 to 10 minutes. And that was the basic of how to meditate. You want to find a nice quiet spot. You want to have your back straight. I would say right now, don't worry about posture. Don't worry about, is your back perfectly straight. If you can't sit with your back straight, that's easy. Lean up against a wall. And a lot of times I'll sit on the floor of my bed, or I'll sit on the floor next to my bed and I'll use the bed as a back. So that way I don't have to, concentrate on just sitting up straight. And then whatever feels natural for you physically, that's what you want to do. And then eventually, as you get better and better at this, you want to have certain postures. You want to cross your legs certain ways. You want to have your palms on your laps facing up. And so don't worry about that right now. What's really important for the audience at home is just that breathing technique. And you'll notice if you do it 5-10 minutes every single day in the morning, you're going to have so much energy. You're going to be wide awake. And then as you feel more comfortable and you can fall into that state just like that at any time, then practice it throughout the day. Kyle and I were just sitting down for lunch today and kind of going over this podcast and what we're going to record. And I was like, yeah, eventually you'll get to this state. And then right in the middle of eating, I just started meditating and quickly got to that point. But I've also been meditating years. And so these are the fundamentals on how to breathe, why you need to breathe, why it's so important to your health overall. And just know that if you are breathing your normal way of breathing right now, you're doing it too often and your body is in a state of hyperventilation.
That doesn't sound healthy at all.
Right? It's all stuff that no one really thinks about. And so with that, Kyle, I'd like to toss the mic over to you and
Don't literally toss it.
Sam's going to get mad if he's listening.
It's a running joke now, so everybody who listens, our sound guy doesn't listen to us. You don't listen to me.
So Kyle, I'm going to hand you the mic to talk about kind of your experience with this and maybe just kind of tell the audience at home the exercise that you did. And before you do that, just really quickly, so there's lots of different forms of meditation. The breathing technique that I just shared is pretty universal, but it's not just crossing your legs, touching your fingers together and floating like most people think Indians do. That comes much later with practice.
What was the character on Street Fighter?
Dalsim.
Our uncle.
I looked at Kamal, I should have asked him.
I know, right?
My bad.
He's the gamer in this group. Come on.
But what's important to know is each of these three fellas is going to talk about a different technique. So that it's not just you have to meditate one way, and if you're doing it any other way, you're doing it wrong. It's not like breathing. But no, there's lots of different ways to do it. So, Kyle?
Yeah. The breathing technique Rohit mentioned, I had done short term a few times before. I've never done it to the extent of literally taking like 10 minutes to do it, to really get to that place. So when I had done it in the past, it was refreshing, but I don't know that I got out of it as much, nearly as this particular exercise. Mine was about personal reflection. self-identity is something that we don't discuss a whole lot of times because we get caught up in doing things for other people or because of other people. So that was really what mine was about. And once you take the time to do the exercise and kind of get to that state where you can focus on something, you take a look at some of these questions and they mean different things to you. So the first one to me was pretty simple. Do you take special effort to thank people? If you do you get upset if they don't do the same? And I thought about these things in so many different ways. The next one is even more obscure the way I thought about it. But so this particular one, I don't take those things generally too personally. Other than jokingly hold the door for somebody, they don't say anything. It's like, oh, you're welcome, jerk. But overall, I tend to not take those things personally. I go about my business. I don't do favors or acts of kindness to get praise or thanks. I do them because they're the right thing to do. And that was a realization that I came to with this. The next one was, if you were to look at 100 people your age, engage them, how many of them do you think are living more satisfying lives than yourself? And as I thought about this, I thought, I don't know, maybe like half of them. And I started thinking, what does that mean? Why would half of them be living more satisfying lives than me? I could be living a more satisfying life than somebody else. What does a more satisfying life mean? So it led me to all these questions of how do I gauge how satisfying my life is versus everyone else that's in my same age bracket, if you will. So I didn't even get an answer to the question. I had more questions to the question as I was there. And my mind began racing with all these things.
Kept on getting deeper and deeper. You're
Deeper
peeling
and
back the
deeper.
onion.
Peeling back the onion, going down that rabbit hole. So those are things that I think that I thought about that I wouldn't normally think about at all, right? How do you gauge satisfaction? How do you gauge happiness? So how do I know how many of those people out of 100 are more or less satisfied? I looked at a scale of material things. Is what I initially looked at. When I read the question and I thought about it, that was the first thing that came to mind. But as I sat there and continued to think about it, continued to focus on it, it came with, well, wait a second, let's define this. What does this mean? What does this mean to me? What does this mean to others? How do I know? Those are things that I would not have thought about had I not sat down and taken a moment to do this exercise and ask myself that question. There's a few more here too. I mean, I could kind of go on. But I think the moral of this is, you look so confused.
Oh,
The moral of this one too is more or less, do you allow yourself to go on autopilot? If you've ever been in a situation where you hopped in your car and you were just driving and you ended up at home and you don't even know what happened. How often does that happen to you?
It's kind of creepy, but it happens fairly often.
Quite a bit.
Yeah. Or the worst is when you're expecting to go to someplace, but your mind is like autopilot to go home, and then your wife tells you missed a turn. Like, my bad, I'm automatically going home. Sorry.
I can't help it. I'm just doing it. I'm not even thinking.
I'm not even thinking about it. My mind's somewhere else.
I mean, you moved to the new place, right?
Yes.
Have you gotten to your old place yet?
No, I haven't.
I've done that before. It's weird.
You have?
Yeah. So when we moved to Auburn,
Yeah.
I literally went all the way to Renton and got in the front of the house, back
Oh,
the garage.
no.
I was like, fuck, we moved. Shit.
Yeah.
I was 5 minutes away from home too.
Oh,
Took me next
shit.
car. It's like,
I have done it before, like a long time ago. When I was working 2 jobs, I was working at a Japanese steakhouse and electronics retailer. I drove to the electronics retailer when I was supposed to be driving to the Japanese steakhouse. And I had my fucking clothes on. Clothes to work at a restaurant, not sell TVs. I fucking didn't realize it until I was getting ready to pull it. I was like, fuck. Turned around the parking lot immediately. Luckily, they weren't too far away from one another. I legit did that. I haven't done it on the way home yet. But I can absolutely admit, I'm just as you had mentioned it, I have had instances where I just hopped in the car. I didn't even think about it. I just went. I took the same route. And I didn't even realize when I got home. I didn't know how long it took. I didn't know what I passed. I couldn't tell you 5 different cards that I've seen. Those are the things that I think we want to try to avoid with things like this. One small thing you can do is take a different route home on purpose. Make a right turn instead of a left, even if you got to go around the block.
Or back to your old spot.
Back to the old spot. Like I was there. Who was living there? Was anybody there?
Or, oh yeah, it was something good thing I didn't get out of the car.
Yeah. Would have been awkward. Who was
Yeah.
this guy? I brought you out.
I know, right? I'm pretty sure I would have been open the garage because it was right in the first few days since we moved, so I still had a clicker.
Oh,
so I'm sure I would
shit.
have been able to click.
And get right in. Oh shit.
Oh, that would have been beautiful.
That would
Yeah,
awesome.
well,
I should have done that.
You probably would have got shot. Someone would have called the police.
Probably.
Too funny. Don't let that happen.
Shots it.
That's what. Oh my goodness. So I think that's something to look at. Is this is really getting yourself out of autopilot, finding out whether or not you let circumstances control you, or whether you control your circumstances in your life. Do you allow your circumstances to lead you down a path that you don't want to go, and use that as your reasoning, as your excuse, rather? So I think that's what I really got out of this one. Is I didn't get answers. I got more questions. The one answer I did get, though, is that I do want to continue to do exercises like this. I think there's a lot to be gotten from these types of exercises if you continue to do them and do them properly.
And I don't know if I mentioned this or not, but each of the exercises that the three fellows are going to talk about, they did them once they did the breathing exercise for about 5-10 minutes. Once they had been doing the breathing exercise, that's the basic, the foundation of all this. And once you feel like you're at a point where you're good with your breathing style, then you do the exercise. At the same instance, I don't mean like you breathe and then the next day you answer these questions. As you sit down, it's important to have your body and your mind connected as you're doing these breathing exercises. Once you feel good, it takes about 5-10 minutes. Then go ahead and open up your eyes and go through with the exercise.
I'll kind of agree with that. For me, when I did this exercise, I don't think I got fully into that state yet. So even though I was able to do my exercise, I don't think I was in fully in the right mode. And I think that would have totally made me realize a different way of what I'm just saying. So my exercise was about identifying stress. And it was about getting into the state motor state, and identifying what are the different things in my life that is adding into my stress. Right. When I put what I had to do was think about this and then make up a list of all the items that's out there. When I opened up these instructions on how to do meditation, I was really in the mode of thinking that it's about sitting in a dark room and just meditating the whole time and reflecting on what it was, and kind of thought about it, and that's what you had to do. But when I saw this exercise, it was a little different because I was already doing it, but more for my work rather than my whole life. So it just brought in a lot of different perspective of my different life that I wasn't thinking of. And when I started listing off all of these stresses that I had in my life, I didn't realize I ended up going through 2 pages of it.
Oh shit.
Wow.
So,
Yeah. Maybe get you to Snoqualmie Falls.
I know, right? So, these are all the...
At night.
Right. Actually, I was thinking about going the other night too.
Yeah, she did mention it.
Yeah, we ended up going. But, so I was like, all right, so let me list out all the things that I have to do, all the things that is in my life that plays a bigger part of me and just where I'm at with my life. And when I started writing down all these stuff, it was weird. It was kind of hard to start up. I was like, all right, let me think about this. So I started talking about my work, I was like, all right, here are the action items for my work, I gotta do this. But I think that's what's really got me going, was getting started up in that one. This was really hard. And then when I started writing it out, one after another, it was just like something after something that I would just keep thinking of. And one of the exercise, what it calls out for is when we complete a checklist item, you cross it off. And even though I haven't done it in any of my current lists, I have done it for my work. And the satisfaction that you get out of that, crossing that shit out of your list, is amazing. It's like, oh my God, I'm finally done with that. Right? So I feel like that's exactly the same thing that's going to happen on this when I start doing it. What I also start noticing was that when I first doing it out, I was thinking all about the short term. I was thinking, oh, here's what I'm going to have to do within the next 30 days. Here's what I would do within the next week. But the deeper I got into it, the longer term my goals got, or my to-do list got. So I'm in the middle of getting a house, right? So I'm thinking about, house paperwork, getting insurance. I gotta pay my credit card bills. Here's what I gotta do at work. I gotta create a report. But as more got down into it, like I learned to put in this learn stock market. Finish up a couple of books that I have been started on. Clean the backyard. It's still a long process. Make the yard better. Then got into save 10K, save 20K, and then Hawaii pictures. That's been there for like a year and a half. Now it's been a long term because it's been standing for such a long time. But in the back of my mind, I've been thinking about it this whole time, right? Stuff that I wasn't even thinking about started coming up. And so I think so for me, it really took time for me to get into that focus, and that's where the meditation helped. But once I really got into that, I really started thinking differently for a long-term wise, and it really reflected in my list as well.
So the more you got deeper into that state of mind, the longer term your thoughts became.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
Good stuff.
And I think if I would have done this exercise a couple of years ago, the list would have been totally different. And it's weird just to realize that just by looking at my list and how much of a difference that would have been. And I think the second portion would be if I would have meditated better. I think my focus would have been a lot better, and my list would have been even more different.
Yeah.
So I feel like it would change as you go.
Yeah.
As you meditate, as you think about it. So.
Good stuff.
Cool. Mine was on external views. Mine was kind of thinking about how other people think about me. So kind of if video game terms of being like the third person, kind of being outside of the actual character, looking inwards, not necessarily being me. So in this case, I had 3 people that I needed to choose. One was someone that knew me very well. One was somebody that knew me, and one was somebody that really didn't know me too much. The person that I knew very well, or chose to be very well, was Steph, my wife. Then I chose Sapambia, who knows me.
I'm kind of bummed, not gonna lie.
There's a reason for it. There's a reason for it.
No, I know, but I'm like, I used to be number one.
Poor baby.
There's a reason for it, and it plays into the whole thought. There's a whole thought process to it. I have my Sapan Baya. Baya again means brother. He's like my cousin. He's family.
Sapan is his name, or is that like big brother, like elder?
Sapan is his name.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, and then Baya, just brother's term. And then my coworker Amy, I chose her. She sits behind me. I've literally probably only known her for like a month and a half. A couple conversations. You know Amy.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing I want to say first is Did you guys do the meditation the way Rohit said to the T? I'm just curious about that.
Not to the T.
Because you already said not to the T.
Yeah, palms open.
Palms
No.
open, the whole thing. Okay. I don't think I did either, because in my mind I was going same way as Kamal, thinking the meditation's in a dark room, we can just be quiet and be in our thoughts. Once reading the whole subject, I already had a plan of having candle lit, being in the bathtub, completely just dark, and just being myself. So that was my meditation, but I did the breathing process the same way. So it wasn't just the posture and all that. The breathing took me a good 10 minutes just to get there, and during the whole time, the imagination of me taking that handkerchief, putting it into my quote-unquote soul, and then breathing everything out. Once I got into the state of mind, going in, and I wrote down apparition, kind of like a ghost, because that's how I felt in certain situations with my wife, and that's why I chose her. Is you and me, we butt heads, but it's always a stupid butt head. Like, it's never a serious thing.
That's true.
Stephanie and I, we get into arguments, and I want to know what is the reason, what is the cause, what did I do to make her upset, and pulling myself out of the situation, going to her side, and almost being like that third-person view of her, just being behind her, seeing how I acted, seeing how I talked, seeing how my hands were, my mannerisms. It made me realize that when I talk to her, it's way more aggressive than I talk to somebody else. It made me feel like I belittle her. And that's it hurt, because it made you feel like, damn, like I'm not treating her properly. But at the same time, I felt glad that I was able to come out of my view of her, and now, I mean, it's only been 2 days since I've done it, but even the conversations, like I tell her, like I asked her a question about something I could get, and she said, I don't think we can afford it, I don't think we can do it right now, and I told her, thank you, babe, for considering this conversation, that's all I wanted to do. Like, I had to, like, change it. I wasn't trying to get mad, I wasn't trying to do these things, because I put myself out of that position there. With Sapambea, he knows the family really well, and the common denominator between him and me is my dad. We both love my dad, right? And we both want to see him be happy and be living a normal life. And since mom passed away, he's been very quiet, very in his own world. And Sapambea and I try to pull him out of it. So I try to get out of the whole concept again of me being out of myself and trying to talk to dad in a way that maybe Sapambea does. Because the age gap between my dad and Sapambea is smaller than the age gap between me and my dad, obviously. So they have more quote-unquote relatable conversations than me and my dad do. Because of that, I feel like I'm going to start to talk to my father in a different way about different things. Not necessarily about the same stuff that I used to talk about, which could have been, what are you doing tomorrow? Did you take care of Bowser? How was your day? Like, normal conversational thoughts, but trying to go deeper into what he likes. He has conversations with Sapambea that are half an hour, 45 minutes. I get good 20, 30 minutes, and then of that, we're joking around, he's making corny dad jokes. We have our own bond, but I wanted something more. And I guess that's where, when I meditated, a lot of my connection with dad came from. With Amy, I think I took hers the most as a, who the fuck is this person? Because she didn't know who I was. I'm coming onto her team. And the thing is, she sits directly diagonal from me, so she can literally see what I do, if I pick a booger, if I, watching
She does that
YouTube.
very often.
Pick a booger, that's what came to your mind.
Right? just saying. Watching YouTube, whatever, like she can see it. So for me to pull myself out of where I sit and to basically stand over Amy's shoulder and then like think of myself the whole day, how I dress, including. So how I visually look in the morning, I hate mornings. I'm not a morning person. Always come in groggy in the morning. And I sit at my desk, headphones on, and I start to work. I never really thought about how that can come off as being a dick. Just coming into, because to me it's just, I don't.
Mama's a fucking asshole, don't talk to him.
Yeah.
I like my bubble. I like to just do my work, have my headphones on, and then just do it. she's a very open, bubbly, talkative person, I just say good morning. Whatever, I'm done with it until I get coffee or whatever the later is in the day.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Now don't talk to me.
Yeah, no talk to me. But everything from seeing how she would see as a new person coming into this role, I started to ask questions like, does she think that I'm doing the role properly? Am I doing enough to help the team? Am I taking the steps to get the whole licensing credentials that we need for the Microsoft licensing stuff?
Dude, that's fun.
We have very different definitions of fun. But it was seeing how she sees me clothes-wise, I think. I wear the same sweatshirt every day to work. It's cold as hell in the office for me. I'm a big dude, but I get cold. And I sit underneath the vent. So I always have that jacket. But when I go anywhere else, I take the jacket off. So it's never really used anywhere else. How does she think of that? You know, like how does she portray that? I don't know. And these are the things that...
Wears the same,
That's what I'm saying. Like I was like, does she think I'm a weirdo for wearing the same hoodie all the time? I don't know. And that's like, I had to start thinking about the whole process of literally for the last like month, it's been the same sweatshirt. I wash it, don't worry.
Sure.
I do. Saturdays are laundry day.
Owl.
Yeah, got a schedule.
That was fantastic.
So for the podcast, this is how much owlish I am. By the way, if you guys don't know the reference, please check episode 78. Right? 78?
Yep.
All right. Personality matrix.
He looks around.
I have to make sure.
Are we all the same
Look
one?
at all our notes.
All the notes, yeah. We're the same one.
39.
Yeah,
Check
check out.
laptop, we all have different numbers.
95.
84. I'm gonna 84. I don't know you guys are right.
Check out that episode of what we talked about for the personality matrix. But for the owl portion, what were we talking about? I don't know.
You were talking.
About having...
This is how much of an owl you are.
Huh?
Scheduling your laundry and your sex life.
No, I didn't say sex life. Don't start with
You're like, this is how much of an owl I am. For those who don't know, owls are...
Yeah, but now I don't know what the pretense
Yeah.
was.
I think it was scheduling your bedroom time.
No, we didn't say bedroom.
Bedroom
It
time.
was definitely bedroom
Bedroom
time.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, so here it goes. For the podcast, what I have is, if you guys have heard of the website, if this, then that. So what I have said is, if at Monday at 9 a.m. happens, send a message to our group chat to make sure that everything is ready for the podcast. I have the exact same thing for the
Bedroom?
What the fuck? Do you guys have a fantasy in my bedroom?
Yes.
You can join Rohit, me, just me. Just me.
You heard that, Steph? What are you doing Friday night?
Just me.
It's okay, Ryan.
Trying to get
I'll take
together.
stuff out. Have fun.
I'm just trying to do the if this that.
Have fun.
Garbage.
Although I will charge
For
you.
garbage.
Yeah, for garbage and recycling. It literally is a message that says, did you take out the garbage? It's recycling day. Monday at 9 p.m. every Monday, it's sending me that message. It's just to keep me on track, just to make sure.
A true
Automation.
need a reminder.
Automation.
Who?
He almost did it. He did it too.
I fucking hate you. I fucking hate you.
I died earlier.
I hate you. You can't be an owl anymore. He's not allowed.
You lost your good privilege.
My home privilege.
I gotta go. I believe me. I believe me.
But at the end, the meditating for me was a game changer for how I see myself and how others view me. Because I went out of my body, quote unquote, to view myself. It's a different view that I, like Kyle and Como said, have never really thought of. Because these aren't the day-to-day things, the thought processes that you have is, you know, just because you said something to someone, does that actually mean that it's rude? Is it nice? Is it appropriate? No one really thinks about it. Just like no one really thinks about when you say, you know, they don't say sorry or thank you when you open the door.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
You know, I do get upset.
Do you?
I do, because I feel like just everyone should have that sense of courtesy.
Mhm.
And when somebody doesn't, it's like, you're the dick.
Do you let it? Oh, you do let it bother you because you're the road rager.
It bothers you.
Yeah, huge road rage.
Oh man, and we talked about that. Like I get like road rage stuff. I get irritated. I'm like, God, fucking idiot, and I'm like, whatever, and I move on.
Yep.
And I'm on to the song or something or whatever is going on.
Him and stuff, both in the car, they're the worst.
Really?
She's
Oh
worse
my
than
God.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
It's kind of entertaining at times.
Share this exercise.
Yeah, meditate with her?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
At least
someone's
for
not
road
in the
rage.
bedroom
At
tonight.
least for road rage.
Good stuff. Man, well, and I think we're coming up on time here, so we're gonna wrap pretty soon. Rohit, do you have any other tips or tricks or hints in how our listeners can meditate?
Yeah, there's a couple things I wrote down. Once again, we're going to have all these instructions on our website on how to do each of these exercises. There's goes into quite a bit of detail on how to do it, the breathing techniques, all that stuff is on there. I would say, you don't have to jump into the deep stuff that we did. The only reason why we brought that up is because to let the audience know that there are different styles of meditation. It's not just sitting in a corner, meditating. And what's interesting is, as soon as I said we're going to do an episode on how to meditate, all three of you guys have the same visualization of sitting in a dark corner and breathing. So there's different styles. And really for the audience at home, the very first one you really want to practice all the time is just breathing. I just want to take a quick 20 seconds each, just talk about how that breathing exercise went for you guys as soon as I finish these two other points. One is, especially for Kamal, I think with you, talking about how you did a lot of this list making stuff and accountability for work, but you never did with your own personal life. And that's because the majority of us are better at being employees than you are at being you, right? Think about all the stuff you do at work. How can you be a better employee? What seminars can you go to? What books do you read? Even if it's off work, you're willing to do this research, to learn to be a better employee. But how come you're not taking that same skill set and applying it to your life? It can be very eye-opening, and I'm glad that you're on that path. And I agree, when you just cross something off the list, it feels so good. More so in your personal life than for work. Because at work it's just a task, but you can actually see, I accomplished something, And the other thing that I think all three of you guys kind of mentioned is you were, as Kyle mentioned, undoing the layers of the onion, right? And you're getting deeper and deeper. You didn't even mean to. It's just how it worked. That's because at the very beginning, whenever you're doing something, if you're not familiar with the world of personal development, you're going to keep everything very surface level. Right? You just don't know. And it's not a knock against anyone, it's just you're not used to having that skill set of learning how to dive in deeper and deeper and deeper. And so it's almost like, I forgot what they're called, but it's almost like it just, your surface level, and then all of a sudden you just take a dive into this deep emotion. And that dive really starts happening once you let go of your programs. Once you let go of the things that are holding you back, and you're like, you know what, this is for me, this exercise is for me, no one else is going to see this list. And that's when you really start coming to terms and the depth just opens up. And the real power of meditating and being one with yourself, connecting your soul, your mind, your body, all together in a harmonious balance, that's when it starts coming in. And you can literally be in a point where someone is ready to fight you, and you just take a deep breath and you just walk away. That's the point where everyone can get. And so with that said, that's the end of my notes, but I just kind of want to take a quick 10, 15 seconds or so. How about just a breathing exercise for each of you guys?
Breathing for me, I was in the bathtub. So I was full on, laying in the tub.
Totally got a picture.
Yeah, we're going to have pictures of it for you guys.
Might be some rubber duckies there.
Rubber duck? Yeah, of course I have rubber ducky.
I know I was
Come
going
on, getting a bath time, lots of fun. Rubber duck.
Okay, that's enough of that. That's enough of that.
My hands are in the water, they're put up, palms up, sitting there just breathing. And the things that I noticed was, one, I could hear the wick of the candle, which was soothing.
Mhm.
At the same time, I could also hear my breathing. Like I turned all the fans off, like everything. It was as quiet as I could get it. But just to have the candle lit and to hear my own breathing was, I think, what kind of pushed me into getting into that deeper level of thought. So it was good.
Yeah, I would say the same things. I wrote this down actually before you even talked. Those senses heightened. When I first stopped to take the deep breaths, I focused on my breath. As I began to focus on my breath, I noticed other things I didn't notice before. Noises that a house makes when no one's fucking moving.
Yep.
Cars that are nowhere even near your house. Just little things that as you hear them initially, they're hard to get out of your head. It took me a few moments. I had to sit there and continue to focus on breathing, keep my eyes closed, and prevent those things from being bothersome or worrisome in my head. Because as a monkey, I'll tell you what.
That's hard to do.
That's hard to do. That's a challenge. Like right now, as we're discussing, I hear some vent or something.
Yep.
Keeps going. I don't know what the fuck it is. But those are the types of things that as you begin, as I began anyways, I don't want to speak for all of our listeners, but I imagine I have some of the same obstacles that we had. As you begin to do these techniques, those are the things you're going to need to overcome. Once you overcome those things, then you can really start having some breakthroughs.
For me, it's a little bit different, mainly because I didn't get fully focused in, right? But post meditating, when I'm thinking about that moment, I can actually see myself closing my eyes and trying to focus in. So it's probably not for at that time, but maybe later on, reflecting back to the moment when you're really starting up, really clearing in your mind. I think if I'm thinking back on that side, I mean, I can see it a little bit more clearly. So I'm hoping that will actually help me out the next time when I meditate to get more focused in. Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff. It's time.
Good.
It has been.
Ladies and gentlemen, and now it's time. Time for Kyle Reed's 2-minute takeaway.
These guys are stupid. Serious.
Oh, I was like, who's he talking to?
I was too at first.
You called us
Sometimes I forget.
Yeah.
Sometimes I forget we're recording video
right.
as well. Oh my goodness gracious.
If you're listening to this podcast, you want to know what Gumbo did that freaked us all out, watch the YouTube.
Watch YouTube
episode
video.
79.
So this week's episode was all part of our forthcoming how-to series. We're going to do a series for our listeners. This is essentially how to X, Y, Z. Part of the GYST Podcast. So today's was how to meditate. And Rohit went over a few things for you. He went over some breathing exercises and really how to position your body physically in order to prepare you to position your body mentally and spiritually. So you can gain something from this exercise that you would not gain just going through your day-to-day. I can't read what that says.
Sure.
I can't read that either.
And we had 3 specific exercises that Rohit put together for us to do for myself, Amit, and Kamal specifically. Once we got Kamal, Dick. Specifically, once we got to that state to sort of gain a deeper understanding on some of these questions and get a little bit more out of it than just breathing exercise. So with that being said, we'll invite all of our listeners to take a look at the website. Rohit's going to have a ton of information on there on how to do these exercises, how to get into this breathing. I don't know what the fuck that just said.
So the audience just sent us what we should do our next series about. So if we have done how to meditate, what do you guys want to see?
Send us what you want, how to.
Yeah, I'm trying to write this quick. Just so
Oh
you
my
can-
goodness.
No, well,
You
I
can just say it. That's okay.
That's what I just ended up doing, but now we're having a discussion about it. Right?
You could leave it on our Facebook page like Chris Johnson just did. He posted something while we record.
Nice. Good stuff.
Very nice.
So we'll take that in consideration, as long as it's good. We'll have to wait and find out. So I don't know about that Chris Johnson guy. That being said, thanks again for tuning in this week. We're going to have a ton of material on the website, how to get to that particular state, how to meditate. Take some time, do it for yourself. I think we all got a ton out of it. I know Ahmed did, and Kamal as well. He got 2 pages of notes over there. So hit us up, GYSTpodcast.com, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and again, I always mention it's Roy's favorite, Pinterest.
Yep.
I get so excited when you mention that.
Yeah, I know you do. You love it. And tune in again next week for another episode of your favorite podcast, GYST Podcast.
I like that one. It was long.
Yeah, it was
So
very
it's like
long.
how you squeak every time you move.
Yeah, sure.
No, my fucking phone.
I just didn't want
I
to.
know.
I was just like, okay.
Thanks everyone for tuning in to our GYST podcast. We hope you learned how to get your together.